Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today we will be sewing up the youth Brielle pattern from Sustainable Cloth Company, which is a new pattern company, and they make really cute patterns for size baby all the way up to adult. And this pattern does also come in adult, so it's a fun one that if you want to match your little, it's great. And it's also a pattern that is jam-packed with options, which is great because you get a lot of bang for your buck. So there's dress options, there's Leo options, there's skirted Leo options, all kinds of halter necklines, sleeves. Basically any option that you could have is written into this pattern, so you don't have to make any changes. But today I'm going to be doing a dress, but I'm going to be focusing on the bodice of these sewn-in straps. So this will be relatively similar if you're doing the halter option, and then also if you're doing the sewn-in straps on a Leo, this will be relatively the same of how to get these straps attached. So I'm going to take you through the steps of that, and then I will also take you through the steps of adding the skirt if that's something you're interested in. So let's get started. Alright, so I got all of my pattern pieces cut out, and I didn't mention this before I cut out, but because I'm doing the dress, you just have to look at your pattern pieces to see it has a dash line and straight lines, and I am doing the dress with the straps, so it had dashed line here to cut, and then they had a dash line for the straps to cut, and the same with the back because I'm doing the back sewn in straps. I needed this back piece, which is more of just a rectangle. And then I'm using just plain white for my lining on my bodice because this is a pretty expensive custom printed cotton lycra, and I didn't really want to waste it just on the inside, which I do a lot. I just get a matching to like the main color and use that for my lining to save a little bit of fabric. But so I got these cut out, and on my back pieces I did mark the strap placement on both pieces there. I just put a little mark, and I have my two straps and my skirt. So we're gonna just set my skirt piece aside. As I said, we're gonna do the bodice, and then if you want to stay along to see me finish the skirt, you can go for it. And this is the same as if you were doing the Leo or anything, just with the straps on the back. We're doing the sewn-in straps, so you might have different bodice pieces or full pieces, but this is what we have. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our straps and we're going to fold them over in half longwise, and then we are going to sew those up. So we're going to do that with both, and we are only sewing up this side. We are not sewing on the ends. So right sides together, and we will set those aside. And then the next thing we're going to do, I'm going to do this all in one swoop just to save a little bit of time. We're going to place the right sides together of our bodice and our bodice lining, and they should be identical. And what we're going to do is we are going to sew up the armpit and the neckline. So we're going to leave this opening here, and that's where we're going to insert our straps. So here, finish here, and here. Alright, I am back. I have sewn my armholes and my neckline of my front bodice, and I sewed both of my straps. And this is going to be the same if you're doing the halter. The only difference is on these straps you would sew one end closed and you would have one end open. That's really the only difference on this part, and then you just don't have to worry about the markings and attaching it to your back bodice. But so now what we're going to do, our next step is to turn these inside out, and I'm going to use my little bobkin. If you don't have one of these are awesome. They're super cheap, super easy. Go grab one, but you could also use a safety pin or whatever your preferred method is of turning your tube. So now that you have your straps turned right side out, what you're going to do is you're going to take a strap, you're going to go up in your bodice, and you left this little opening up here. You're going to stick your strap in there. And I like to just let mine stick out just barely over the edge, just so I can make sure it's in there. And I'm going to clip that on, and then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Just make sure you really get it up in there. And then once you have both sides up through your hole, you're just going to go, and I like to just do this on my regular machine and just do a straight stitch through there just to really enforce it and make sure that they stay. You have those sewn in, it's going to look like this. Your straps are on the inside, and I do like to take my scissors and trim this down a little bit and just kind of snip those edges. It just will give it a nicer finish once you turn it. So the next thing we're going to do, again, that's optional. You can serge it. It just makes it a little bit bulkier, I think, and there's a lot of pooling on that seam a lot, so I like to, even if I do serge that, reinforce it with a regular straight stitch. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to just pull my straps to pull that all the way through. And we're going to flip it right side out, and then you're going to take your straps. You want to make sure they're not twisted here. And so I have it like this. And then we're going to take our back bodice pieces, and you can see these little marks, which is where I marked where these straps go on. So since we are crossing, what we're going to do is we're going to take one strap here and line it up, and take the other strap and line it up with that point. And I'm going to clip those on first, and then I'm going to flip this over here and add that into my clips. And again, make sure your straps are not twisted. Check it out before you sew it. And we're going to sew this seam, and again, I'm going to serge it, but then I'm just going to reinforce these strap points with my sewing machine. So once you sew this seam of your main piece and your lining piece for your back with your straps in, we are almost done. I just do a straight stitch a couple times back and forth, right over where so about 1 centimeter, 2 centimeters, where those straps connect to reinforce it. And so the next step we're going to do is we just have to connect our side seams, and then our bodice is done. So I'm going to flip my lining out behind, and then what I'm going to do is you want to make sure you don't twist your straps here. So I'm just going to slowly pull this over so that my main pieces, which mine is the print, which kind of helps to see that, are right sides together, and then my lining sides are right sides together. And I'm going to line up my seams and then line up my sides all the way down. Up. And the same on my lining, and then I'll do the same on the other side. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a stitch here and stitch here, and then I will be back. Alright, so once you have sewn that, it is going to look like this, and you're just going to take it and pull those straps out. Mine came out inside out, that's okay. Just turn it out. And voila, there is your bodice. Fix those straps. And voila. So if you were doing the bodice, or if you were doing a bodysuit like this, you would have the seams and you would just finish the legs. Since I am doing the dress, I will be adding the circle skirt. So I'm going to set my bodice aside for now. So my skirt I actually cut out as one big huge circle because I had enough fabric, and then I don't have to worry about the seams. You can do it this way, it just involves an extra fold, but if you're not familiar with it, I would just do it as the pattern is written. And that's also a great way to do it if you have directional fabric. My fabric is not directional, so it doesn't matter. So if you cut it out as your pattern was written, you'd have two pieces like so. And this is a big piece. I'm doing a size 5 for my daughter. But what you would do is you would just put right sides together and you would sew both of these seams up right there. Since I already have it cut out and it's connected without sewing, then I am good to go. So my next piece I'm going to do is I just need to connect my bodice to my skirt. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take I like to put my bodice inside of my skirt. So I'm going to find my side seams, make sure they're matching with your lining. I'm going to just use my pins. So right here. So you don't want your lining and your main piece to be like way off or on lined up, because then it'll get funky pooling. So I'm going to tuck my whole bodice in there, and I'm going to find my halfway points. If you have seams, you're going to match up the seams of your skirt to the seams of your bodice. And then you're just going to, it should fit pretty nicely, so you shouldn't really have to do much stretching. And you're just going to attach this on, and then you're just going to sew all the way around in this circle. I'm gonna go do that and I'll be right back. Alright, so once your skirt is sewn on, it's going to look like this. Did it all the way around. And you are basically done if we were doing just the plain dress version. So what we're gonna do is I'm going to flip it out now. And here is my bodice. And so you could be done. I'm gonna turn it sideways like this so you can see all of it. You could be done if you didn't want to hem it. I guess it kind of depends on your preference, but this fabric rolls pretty badly, and I think this is just too pretty to leave a raw hem. So I am going to just do this on my sewing machine and hem it. You could do a lettuce hem, you could, like I said, leave it raw, but the hem allowance is 1/2 inch. So I am going to fold this over and stitch all the way around, and then I am done. Alright, so once you have hemmed your skirt, you are done. I like to put a basting stitch on my circle skirts at the seam allowance or the hem allowance. So the hem allowance was 1/2 inch, so I put a basting stitch at 1/2 inch, and then use that as my guide when I fold it over. And then I did a triple zigzag stitch to finish that hem. But as I said, you can use whatever hemming method you would like just for that 1/2 inch hem allowance. But we are done, and that hem was probably the most time consuming parts. Hemming a circle skirt, especially of bigger sizes, takes a while. But we are done, and look at this. This is so cute with the cross back on it. My daughter's gonna love this. I will pop in a picture of her once she tries it on. But I hope this tutorial was helpful for you to figure out how to sew in those straps to the front and the back. And again, this is the same as basically the halter, you just don't sew it on there, and the same for like the Leo versions. But this is so cute. This is the version I was sewing up for my daughter, so I just thought this is what I would do for the tutorial for you all. But if you found this video helpful, or there's other versions that you would like to see, let me know in the comments. And then also like this video and then subscribe to my channel so that you get notified when I post future videos. And make sure you follow me on Instagram as well. I like to post other things I'm working on, different makes, different steps, some fun tips and tricks, and I like to post little polls to see what you guys are interested in seeing next. I will put my Instagram in the description, as well as a link to the pattern, and I hope you all give this a try and hope you have a wonderful day. Bye!